Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this call for UltraTech's Q3 performance. First and foremost, I hope, wish, and pray that all of you and your families are safe from COVID. This has been a difficult quarter with costs going up, a sudden and unexpected decline in demand in the month of November, and consequent pressures on selling prices. India is a very regional market, and each region, as usual, has performed at different levels. Demand slump was the maximum in the eastern corridor, which I'm sure you would have heard already from the market sources. North continued to be relatively strong and growing consistently, performing better than other markets in terms of volumes and prices. At UltraTech, despite a 3% degrowth in domestic volumes this quarter, we have achieved a 13% growth in the 9-month period. And in spite of a high base for Q4, our aim is to achieve a growth in Q4 also. As for Q3, we believe there were multiple factors leading to the demand slump in November. First and foremost, unexpected rains in several parts of the country, construction ban in NCR, labor availability at several places, sand shortages in eastern side were just a few reasons which can be assigned to why November fell. December was back on track. On an average, for the quarter, our capacity utilization was 75%, but December had already inched up to 80% plus. Utilizations across the country are improving, and so are prices. Let me first give you an update on our expansion program. As part of our growth plans, we are putting up additional 19.5 million tons of capacity. 1.2 million ton brownfield was already commissioned last quarter in East, and 2 million tons brownfield Bara grinding unit has been commissioned in the current quarter, in the month of January, taking our total India operating capacity to 114.55 million tons. The balance 16.3 million tons of capacity will be commissioned during FY23 at different points in time. Barring a few small delays due to the pandemic, we don't anticipate any bottlenecks in project commissioning schedule. This becomes very important because we believe that demand will see a surge given the general elections in 2024. To brief you about the other non-core assets which we had inherited as part of the acquisition of Nathdwara Cement, definitive agreements have been signed to sell off the fiberglass business in Europe. We expect to close the transaction in the current quarter. This quarter, we have spent 1,690 crores on expansion and other capex, reaching a total of close to 4,000 crores. And the pace at which the project execution is going on, we may spend about 5,000 crores on overall capex in FY22. I'm happy to share with you that the board has approved an expansion of our white cement capacity. It will be undertaken in a phased manner from our current 6.5 lakh tons to about 12.5 lakh tons. The current putty capacity is 8.2 lakh tons, split at 2 locations. We are in the midst of completing a greenfield expansion of putty capacity by about 4.4 lakh tons. The project is expected to go on schedule in Q2 FY23. On the debt front, we paid down our treasury, prepaid our loans to the extent of 3,459 crores. This was a very well planned move with the hardening of interest rates and falling treasury yields. Going forward, the gap between our operating EBITDA and total EBITDA will narrow down due to lower treasury operations. On the cost front, fuel costs have softened a bit from the peak, but still strong. As we had told you during the last quarter, fuel consumption costs for UTCL are up by roughly 250 rupees per ton on cement. During the ongoing quarter, we don't expect any more surprises. but the cost will remain elevated at the current levels. There is a reasonable possibility as of now for prices to soften post the Winter Olympics of China. Logistics costs this quarter were almost at the same level as the previous quarter, despite reduction in cost of diesel in the month of November. Exit September cost of fuel was higher than the average of quarter 2. This is another reason for not a very visible impact on average logistics cost for Q3. The benefit, big or small, of reduction in diesel cost will be visible in Q4. We have begun the current quarter on a very positive note with improvement in demand sentiments and improvement in prices as well. Next year seems to be poised for a good growth for the industry. General elections, as I mentioned in the beginning, are around the corner, which always spur demand. Urban housing has started seeing rapid improvement, thus helping cement industry. New norms under the CRZs will open new vistas of growth for redevelopment of several old constructions. New infrastructure projects are in pipeline. We believe that the project announcements and issuance of new orders will start picking up pace. Government's Gati Shakti initiative is a transparent mechanism of tracking all the projects, and this will further strengthen the intent of timely execution of infra projects. We continue our efforts on sustainability. This quarter, again, we have increased our capacity of WHRS as well as solar. Today, this quarter, we ended our WHRS capacity at 156 megawatts and solar capacity at 221 megawatts. On our current scale of operations, we are now at close to 16% green energy, on our path to achieve a 34% green energy by the end of 2024. With that good note, I hand over the session for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may please press star, then 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star, then 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Anyone who wishes to ask questions, please press star, then 1. The first question is from the line of Sumangal Nevatia from Kotak Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for the opportunity. My first question is on the cost front. Just to understand your opening remarks a bit better. So, on a full overall cost basis, we expect, if I understand correctly, from fourth quarter some tailwinds to start reflecting, or given the consumption lag in the fuel, etc., we will see some bit of a fuel cost increase and then maybe from 1 to 23 some cost benefits. Just if you could just share some more details, sir, it will be very helpful.
Yeah. So, Nanda, the big benefit or the delta movement would be visible only in Q1 next year. Q4 this year, as I mentioned, the cost will remain elevated and not too much of difference is expected.
Okay, but given that spot prices, say petcoke around 170, 175, and even thermal coal, our sense was that there will be some bit of a lag and inflation further in fourth quarter and then a dip in 1Q. Is that understanding not correct then?
Your understanding is also correct. My understanding is also correct. Let's wait for Q4 results.
Okay. That's fine. Understood. Second, on the demand, sir, I mean, 3Q, of course, at the start of the quarter, no one expected such weak demand in the quarter. So will you still term it as an aberration and some external factors, and is your medium-term demand estimates and outlook still intact in terms of strong recovery in demand?
Yes, Sumangal, as I mentioned, November was an aberration. December was back on track. January continues to be strong. To give you a precise number from Ultratech's perspective, average capacity utilization for the quarter was 75%. December was 84%. That gives you a sense that this was one freak month. Everything pointing in the opposite direction, in an unfavorable direction.
Understood. And just one last question on the exit prices of 3Q. Any sense from what it was versus 3Q average prices? And very early days in January, but any direction sense on how we are seeing prices? Because we do hear some price hikes in few pockets of the country. So if you could just share some details.
So I think you already get the sense about price hikes before I do. The undercurrent is strong because the demand is strong, so we expect price hikes to take place. And as far as Q3 is concerned, Q3 over Q2 was almost flat. So there were price hikes which were taken in the month of October, which had to be given up or rolled back.
Okay. And January, we expect price hikes, but as of now, nothing is reflected,
No,
right?
there have been price hikes in a few pockets in the country already, but you see, don't multiply it by 365. We have to wait and watch for prices to stabilize. I won't get the benefit for the entire month, but February and March should get the benefit. Again, I say, cement market is no less than the stock market. Today it's up, tomorrow it's down. Nobody can predict what exactly will happen.
Yes. Got it. Thank you so much, sir, and all the very best.
The bigger point, Sumangal, is the undercurrent is very strong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Thanks, Sumangal.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pinaki from JP Morgan. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. So just trying to understand the cost item better. Can you give us a sense versus the $150 per ton of P&L cost in the third quarter, what will broadly be your blended purchase cost at this point of time? Because we have seen thermal coal prices again surge after the Indonesian ban and they've not come off materially.
Yeah, so the Indonesian coal price hike apparently might stay for a short period of time, and currently the prices are elevated. Our expectation is March, April onwards, we should start seeing some softening trend. You want to add?
Yeah, just to add upon KC Jamaria. Yes, you are right, because the Indonesia imposed the ban on export of coal. But now we understand that there is some relaxations are being announced. Means particularly the people who have fulfilled their domestic quota for servicing to the local power plant would be allowed to export actually. But yes, it is to be seen in the next fortnight or in a month how it gets stepped down. So there may be some impact here and there if this ban continues.
Sure,
sir. Q4 costs might still be elevated. There will be some positive, some negative. There's an inventory effect. Spot prices have no relevance for the current quarter consumption, because the time lag in delivery is a minimum 45 to 50 days. So the newer purchases will impact the next quarter only.
Understood. Sir, so just trying to move beyond thermal coal and petcoke. So crude Brent prices are near 5-year highs. The outlook is that crude prices further move higher. If crude prices do move higher, then would it be fair to say that the cost deflation, that disinflation that the company is expecting in first quarter may not take place, because you will still have continued all-round cost inflation from higher crude indirectly?
Yes, that's a possibility. Because you've seen the way gas behaved, coal will not lose the opportunity in case. Oh, sorry, I had gone on mute. Pinakin, you are absolutely right. I don't know when did I go on mute. Okay. So, if crude misbehaves, then there will be a dilemma for cement industry also.
Understood. And sir, lastly, because of the latest COVID wave, would any of the project commissioning timelines get pushed out because if any work has been impacted?
Not at the moment. We don't see any slowdown.
Because the project, obviously with the COVID, there may be some small here and there, but I don't think, as Atul said, there is any worry on the schedule commissioning time actually. We are very much on track.
At this juncture, so we don't know whether Omicron के बाद Demicron है, whatever is coming, how does that impact? So as of today, with the current state of affairs of Omicron and the current state of affairs of the COVID wave, things are under absolute control.
Understood. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rashi Chopra from Citigroup. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So, Atul, just firstly on pricing, you mentioned that price hikes have come through in some of the regions. So, which regions have still not come through, and is there just a delay, or is there a reason why they haven't come?
It's a matter of time, Rashi. So, step by step, things are done. Let's discuss it offline instead of. So, East has happened. Some parts of Maharashtra, I know. Some parts of South, yes, price hikes have been done. Kerala has been done, for example.
So fundamentally, because it also depends on the level actually. If the levels are too low, but as just now said by Atul, once you have a price hike, it will be known only maybe after a week, 10 days time. So the real reflection would come after 10 days because there is a lot of inventory in the pipeline and different people may have different sort of pressure. So, but yes, I would say holistically, since the demand has improved in the month of January, logically the price improvement must happen.
Rashi, again I'm repeating, we are operating at 85% capacity utilization now.
Okay.
Clinker is operating about 90%. That should be enough indication of how strong the market is.
Right. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. Just can you talk a little bit more upon the white cement expansion plan and the thought process behind that?
Yeah, so white cement right now, first and foremost, the white cement market has already been growing, and better late than never that we decided to start our expansion. We were meeting our requirements with imports, which is not as remunerative as our domestic supplies. So that is the whole purpose of getting into an expansion mode, increasing our capacity on white cement.
Okay, and I think I missed the number. What did you say about the expansion? What was that number?
About 12.5 lakh tons, doubling the capacity more or less from 6.5 lakh tons to 12.5 lakh tons.
No, okay, fair enough. Okay, okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Girish Chaudhary from Spark Capital Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for taking my question. Two questions. Firstly, if I look at your slide on the region-wise demand performance, I think East is the only region which has seen 2 consecutive quarters of decline in demand on a YOY basis. So how much of this would you attribute to one-off reasons, and how much is due to actual slowdown in the region, if at all? So your thought process or your thoughts on
the one-off reasons were the sand shortage, rains, and labor movement. These 3 are one-off movements. My expectation is that now onwards you will start seeing improvement in Eastern Corridor also. Javanshi, would you like to add something?
Yes, definitely, because the sand was one of the major issues, And number two, because the state supported schemes actually in infra, that also little bit got slowed down post the elections of Bengal and kind of thing. So now things are getting stabilized, and we are pretty confident that the demand should come back at the moment.
Okay, got it. And on the white cement expansion, if you can give us a little more on the timelines and also on the white cement grade limestone reserves post the expansion. So some more details on this expansion.
So on the reserves post expansion also we would have reserves of 40 to 50 years. That is one. And we would look at anywhere around 2026 to commission the white cement expansion. Because land acquisition is something which is not complete, and that is what will take a bit of time.
Okay.
Now, if you refer to the slide, it's there in the presentation also.
Okay. And just to finish this off on white cement, one of the reasons you mentioned is that to reduce the high cost imports. So just to understand this, how much is this imported, and how much you are using it or manufacturing from the
this year the plan was to import 2 lakh tons of white cement.
Okay.
And,
so basically
and till we commission our expansion, we expect the way the market is growing, that our requirement will keep on growing.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amit Murarka from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, sir. I just a couple of questions. Firstly, on other operating income, so last if I remember, you mentioned there was some incentive there. This quarter also that number is a bit elevated. So is there some one-off this quarter there as well?
So, there will be something which comes in, something which goes out. Last quarter we had Dhar incentive coming in as a block. It has got stabilized now as a regular inflow. This quarter we had Rajshri Cement ka long pending incentive, Rajshri Cement line 4, which got disbursed. So I would expect our incentive and related other incomes to be in and around 125 to 150 crores per quarter.
Right. So this quarter it was more or less 270 crores. So then what the Rajshri one would be 120, 130 crores?
No. What is 270?
The difference between the revenue and the sales and the total revenue.
Sorry, Amit, just 1 second. Mukesh, will you answer?
The Rajshri Cement is 50 crore rupees.
No, 270 crores. What is the breakup?
Okay, that is including other income also, like scrap sale and miscellaneous rice bag also.
Okay.
So, I would have a stable, incentive related scrap sales do take place every quarter. Any write back might be there on a regular basis. So 150 crore is an average number for our size of operation.
Sure. And just one more question on the capacity utilization. So, you mentioned that FY 23-24 should be strong growth here due to pre-election, and you're already at 85% utilization. But capacity pipeline is there till March 23 largely. So, is there a new pipeline also formed up, and by when can we expect that the same thing to be known?
We'll come back to you once our board has to approve. Once the board approves, we can tell you about it.
And lastly, what was trade non-trade sales this quarter?
64% trade.
Okay, thanks. I'll come back in the queue.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ritesh Shah from Investec. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. Couple of questions. Sir, how are you looking at industry level capacity additions this fiscal and next fiscal? And factoring the demand scenario that you are looking at, how should one look into UltraTech's market share given the incremental capacity additions we will have, which will be significant in FY23?
Yeah. So each year you should look at plus minus 20 million tons of new capacity. FY23 bulk will be coming from UltraTech. Next year, the year after also, you could see plus minus 20 million tons. Our market share will grow with this 20 million tons of 16 million tons coming in FY23. The market share is bound to grow.
Okay. Okay. Sir, would it be possible for you to give a regional flavor over here?
Regional flavor as in?
On market share, sir. Because 16 and 20 is a big number. So is it something?
Market share, very difficult to quantify because that data, comparable data is never available. But when I talked about market share increase, my analysis is that new capacity which will come in, we will sell it out without competition being there. So obviously our presence in the market will grow further.
Sure, sir. Sir, my second question is on construction chemicals. It was good to see the white cement announcement actually coming through this quarter. So we haven't heard anything from you on construction chemicals. We understand that we have started manufacturing at few of our plants. So we just wanted to understand our thoughts on construction chemicals and basically how is it going along with Grasim, given they have highlighted significant plans on the paint side. The question is more with reference to any changes on the distribution side, synergies, wherein UltraTech is actually benefiting out of it.
We are gradually growing our construction chemicals business. It should be reaching maybe 500 crores per annum on an annualized basis by the end of this year. We would look at acquiring good quality assets to grow this business further. The bigger point that you asked about, whether in Grasim or in UltraTech will do this line of business in the construction stage and not in the finishing stage. Now there are sealants, waterproofing agents.
Sir, lost you.
And stuff like that, which is totally.
Excuse me, this is the operator. So, participants, the line for the management has dropped. We request you all to please stay connected while we reconnect the management. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for patiently waiting. The line is reconnected, so you may go ahead. We have Mr. Ritesh Shah online.
Hi, Ritesh. I don't know where I lost the connection.
We lost you.
Yeah, I know.
We lost you at construction stage and not finishing stage.
So yes, we will remain in the construction stage, and finishing anything that has to be done would be with. We are not getting into that space. And there is a lot of opportunity. waterproofing agents, sealants, mortar, dry mix, then some amount of admixtures also. So there, admixtures will become our captive product for captive consumption also, because we have a big RMC as well for our RMC also. So lots of areas where we are growing steadily.
So what is the end game plan over here?
I also mentioned, I don't know whether I lost connection or not. We should be annualized about 500 crores this year. Multiple plants have already been put up, and we would look at interesting opportunities to consolidate with us.
Sure, sir. That's quite encouraging. Sir, where do we see this business 3 years out? And last question.
3 years down the road, if today I am 500 crores, I would target 2,500 crores at least.
Yeah, because once we have started in this line of business, obviously we would like to double year after year actually, fundamentally, because there is enough opportunity for growth in this particular segment, right from waterproofing, sealant, mortar, grouting. So there will be enough opportunity.
Sure, sir. That's quite encouraging. Thank you so much for the answers. I'll join back with you. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Indrajit from CLSA. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Congratulations on the setup. Thank you for the opportunity.
Hi, Indrajit.
Hi, sir. On the same vein, actually, to repeat this question. So going forward, given the amount of cash we will end up generating in the next 2-3 years, and given the expansion plan that we have, any indication on annual capex, and would it be more heavily biased towards non-cement or allied segments like construction chemicals, white cement, etc., or we will continue to see a higher proportion of cement?
So the proportion of capex will be higher on grey. Construction chemicals is a very small cost operation. So even if we expand, acquire, it will not be a big portion. And white cement, it will be spread over the next 2 or 3 years, the big spend. So maximum spend you will see on grey cement. This year, as I mentioned, we might exceed our initial forecast. We might reach close to 5,000 crores. Of capex spends. Next year would be close to 4,000 crores of cash outflow on capex, which would complete our the current phase of capex plan, the capacity expansion plan. 4,000 crores would include the capacity expansion also, as well as the routine capex, maintenance what we call maintenance capex, which is anywhere around sustenance capex, which is around anywhere between 1,000 to 1,500 crores.
Sure. Thank you.
I think we have lost. Okay. Yeah.
No. And on the construction chemical, if you can help us understand the industry better, is there a brand consciousness, or is it mostly an unorganized sector? Do we have to spend a lot on A&P, getting people conscious about the brand, or do you think we have reasonable mind share?
There is an effort which has to be put in place to get people to buy a product that we are selling, and it will be an UltraTech brand to command a premium and to attract, to have a sticky customer. Jamalji, would you like to add?
And the major strength with UltraTech is because our vast network in terms of dealers and the retailer network, actually, because we have a huge network for dealer as well as the retailer. So we would like to make full use of this network, actually. And yes, the brand will definitely play a role. So it has already, we have started putting some efforts on branding of these products, actually. But yes, in time to come, once Now we are moving from one level to another level. So the brand will play again major role, but predominantly it is going to be under the UltraTech brand.
Sure. Thank you so much. That's all from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pulkit Patni from Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead. Excuse me, this is the operator, Mr. Patni. We can't hear you.
Is this better?
Yes, now we can.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, clear.
Okay, great. So just one question. Taking a slightly longer term view, if you look at the last few years, because of COVID, other disruptions, while growth rates look good, but broadly there's not been a significant growth in terms of volumes if I look at a 2 to 3 year CAGR. Whereas in the same period, we've seen capacity getting added at a reasonably strong pace last few years. Are you worried that maybe next 12 to 18 months, the pricing environment might not be as conducive as we are used to seeing in the last 2 years?
First and foremost, on the sales volumes, I think we have been continuously growing from 70 million tons to crossing a 90 million ton mark and jumping over 100 million tons of sales. So it is growing at a steady pace, I would say. Capacity expansion, yes, over the last 5 years has grown roughly 11%. And we have always invested ahead of the demand curve in time to meet the rising demand. So I don't foresee a challenge to be able to sell. We don't see a challenge to sell this capacity. Next point that you mentioned is on pricing. Given our consolidated strength or position in any market, we are able, and it's a rule of the game, not just UltraTech. Anywhere where there is a consolidation of the market, pricing discipline is far better. Take the case of Gujarat market. We were not present at one point in time. 2014 onwards we came in, and today Gujarat markets are one of the best price markets. Similar phenomena we are seeing in the central markets. North is where similar thing has happened in the north market. So East is a market where what you are talking about is a fierce market. A lot of new capacity getting added, so we might see some pricing pressures, but the consumption in East market will keep going up.
And whatever data are available, I think that despite the new capacity addition, overall capacity utilization of the industry is likely to improve in next 18 to 20 more 4 months period.
So Pulkit, I'm just looking at my data from 2016, where we sold about 48 million tons, crossing 80 million tons now this year, and then jumping on to a 3-digit mark very soon. So we are steadily growing at about a CAGR of 10-11%.
No, I mean, my question was more from an industry. No doubt you've done pretty well in the last few years. But as an industry, we were at about 335, 340 million tons in FY19, and FY22 we'll finish at about 350, 352. So on a CAGR basis, it's not that exciting, but I understand what you are saying, that consolidation should likely help, right?
Yes, you are okay. Unfortunate instances that have happened. Now, COVID was most unthinkable thing that has happened, and for all you know, it might continue for a couple of more years. As you read, Cyprus में some new Cyprus में था या कहाँ था? Somewhere new variant has already been discovered. Demicron or something is being talked about. So I don't know the disruptions which the world will see, which India will see going forward. We have had several instances. There was demonetization in 2016 which broke our back. Then GST introduction, there was so much of confusion with GST introduction. That's a new system which came into play, took time to stabilize. So I think we have to take all these events as part of in our stride and move on. And as UltraTech, I think we will keep consolidating the industry and grow from strength to strength.
Sure, sir. Sir, and a second one quick question. Any sense of what could be the realization from this Belgium sales? Any rough cut number that we can?
94 million euro. And I think 90 to 94 million, depending on working capital adjustment. So I would safely put a number at 90 million euro.
Sure. That's very useful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Naveen Sahadev from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity. So, first of all, I just want a small clarification on this fuel cost that we report in the presentation. So when we say average fuel consumption cost in dollar terms, which is about 151, that is the, let's say you're referring to the petcoke price, the imported coal price, or it is the blended cost of?
Blended cost of consumption in UltraTech.
That includes some part of the local.
Yeah, it's total fuel, including domestic.
Correct. So can you give me a broad breakup as to what it was for the quarter, as in terms of how much is petcoke, how much is, let's say, imported coal and domestic coal? Is it possible to share that?
Petcoke 193.
Speak loudly, na?
Petcoke $193 and coal at around 137. Imported coal.
Yeah. Correct. I was talking about overall in terms of the breakup in terms of usage, in the sense, let's say petcoke is.
One second, I'll tell you. So we have reduced the dependence on petcoke, and this quarter the petcoke consumption was 25%.
Okay. And if petcoke is 25%, imported coal would be broadly 50%.
Would be a larger chunk.
Just to set off the calorific value, we have gone for the high calorific value imported coal.
Yeah, high calorific value imported coal. No, fair point. Then, sir, my second question then was about the white cement expansion which you talked about. So from 6.5 lakhs to over 12.5 lakhs. But if I understand correctly, white cement per se is not a growing industry as such. It is the putty which is growing. Is that understanding correct? And you are rightly putting
Both are growing. Putty is growing at a faster pace. I am putting about 4.4 lakh ton putty expansion also. And white cement is also growing. Bulk of the expansion will get consumed into putty, yes, but white cement growth is also there.
Correct. So putty post expansion, our current, if I'm not wrong, putty capacity is 8.5 lakhs?
Yes.
Correct. So 8.5 lakh putty, we are adding roughly around 4.5 lakhs to it.
Yeah.
But again, if I understand, to make putty, the requirement of white cement is only 20%. So for 4.5 lakhs of putty, all you need is 90,000 tons of white cement.
I agree. That is why I already told you that white cement, we see a huge potential in pure white cement sales as well.
And apart from that, currently we are importing also.
Correct. So largely import substitution to begin with, which you said is about 2 lakh tons.
Yes.
That will happen straight away, and thereafter the growth part of it. Just one follow-up here. By when, because it said the expansion will happen in phases, I think I missed that you answered this, but by when is this capacity likely to come on board?
So, it sounds a very long time frame, but we are looking at 26 to commission our line 3. the biggest portion of time spent will be in land. Land acquisition is not completed, so we would now, once today the board has finally approved the expansion, we'll start putting pressure on working on our land acquisition, and perhaps over the next 3 or 4 quarters, I'll have a clarity on how the timelines are getting crunched.
Okay. Fair. And just one last question, sir, if I may. Demand, of course, as you said, is strong, and December also, I think, saw reasonable, recovery. You also said utilizations were in upwards of 80%. But with the coal prices going down, we again saw a lot of fight for market share coming back, and that's where exit December particularly, or most of the December, the prices were under pressure. So in the same light...
there are some companies who have year-ending December. Hello?
But in East, I'm saying we are seeing a different fight for market share altogether, right?
I am not aware of any fight.
Yeah, okay, fair point. My simple question on a broader perspective was, with coal prices or in general fuel prices easing, do you see headwinds to these price rise, or you think no, as long as demand is good, pricing should just be good enough and margin accretive?
My belief, and again I'll repeat, cement prices with capacity utilizations, and in my term, I've seen 2 or 3 cycles where all India capacity utilizations have gone above 85%. Margins, hit the ceiling. Because what happens is, when all the regions are having a good capacity utilization, there is no export of material from one region to the other. Every region is able to enjoy a good pricing environment.
Agree. Let's really hope for that in Q4 now. Thank you so much, and all the very best.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Swagato Ghosh from Franklin Templeton. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Daga sir. Good afternoon. Sir,
Hi, Swagato.
All good, sir. So I had a very simple question. That consolidation helps in passing on some of the cost pressures in difficult times, like we have seen in the last 2-3 quarters. So while the industry is consolidated versus what it was 5 years back, still it's probably not consolidated enough. So I just want to get a view on what might happen to the industry in, say, 4 or 5 years' time. Can we reach a level of consolidation when, like, even in weak demand scenario, we are able to successfully pass on, say, any major cost headwind? And I'm asking you this because you can be a driver of the consolidation, either through acquisition or by pushing out marginal players by selling higher volumes, etc.
So, that scenario which you're looking at, I don't expect in the next 4 or 5 years. There are global markets which are in that phenomena. Consolidation will take place. There will be people who will want to cash out in a good cycle. UltraTech as a company believes very strongly in cement growth in the country over the next decade. We are seeing at least a CAGR of 6 to 8% growth. So we are all very aggressive. We will evaluate every opportunity to keep growing.
Okay, and so one other follow-up is, going forward, if East is a weaker, say, profitability market with the higher competition, will we be able to successfully pivot our volumes to other regions?
I'm sorry?
Can we shift our volume mix? Can we shift our volume mix to other regions if and when needed, from East and South to, say, the other regions? Do we have that flexibility?
Yeah, we have that flexibility. The reason in fact, we move material from across the country. That's the advantage of diversity of our existence. Today, with 53 odd locations, we are able to move material crisscross in any direction.
That's one of the big, I would say, the flexibility UltraTech enjoys, because we have never seen, practically I would say, never seen that sort of servicing problem to the customer. At times, yes, sometimes the demand is high, and we may have to move from another zones, another plant, maybe with some additional cost. But the servicing is done on because it is always on a positive contribution. So that's
Sogato, UltraTech is able to operate more than 250 railheads across the country. That helps move, and rail freight cost would be 50% of the road freight cost. So that is the kind of advantage which we enjoy. And in times of, restriction in supply in one particular market, we are able to meet the customer obligations from other markets also.
Right. So basically, these levers should help us outperform the market over the long run. Is that would be right assumption?
Yes, absolutely. I will share with you offline data which shows clearly, period after period, UltraTech has been able to outperform in volume terms. Because what happens is, when a new capacity gets added in a particular company, they will have artificial growth, I would say. But if I look at an industry level number, we would have achieved growth quarter on quarter higher than the industry.
Okay, sure. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ashish Jain from Macquarie. Please go ahead.
Hello. Hi, sir. Good evening. So,
Hi,
firstly, on the hi, sir. So, firstly, on the construction chemical business, can you give some idea in terms of the margins we are making there and where those margins could head, and also any meaningful capex and all, if we may incur on that in the next 12-18 months?
I think as of now we are investing in the business, so it's a insignificant margin.
Fundamentally, we are building the
business right now.
Building the business at this stage.
Right.
And obviously, we have to do the lot of activities and piloting certain things to get the right product and kind of thing. So obviously, once we reach to the reasonable size, actually, I'm sure it would definitely generate.
So right now we are not focusing on the margin, we are investing in the business, but it can be a healthy 15 to 18% EBITDA for sure.
Okay. So just to understand.
And as far as you asked about capex, no, it does not. It's a capital light business. And the other advantage that we have is we are able to take advantage of our existing plant infrastructure to add to the construction chemical opportunity.
Right. So just to understand, the idea behind this is that either you think it's going to be a huge opportunity, because even at 25 billion doesn't seem to be the case, in a 2-3 year time frame, or it's just about leveraging the supply chain or the distribution that we have much better, or is it like some of the input costs and all could be much cheaper for us because of the whole value chain that we have? So what's the thought process behind investing in this business?
The distribution, first and foremost, it synergizes with our vision of being building solution provider. Right? Instead of getting a third party to come in and apply something on the construction side, we would have a product of UltraTech being used to complete the project. Take the case of our UBS model. The advantage of that model is that when an individual home builder visits the store, he is not just buying cement, but he also sees a pipe that he needs. He also needs a white cement that he needs, or a vastu service, or an architect that he requires, services that he requires. He gets everything under a single window, say under a single roof. Similar is the concept that when UltraTech is being approached by a developer, by an infra company for any project, they get everything that is required to build a bridge or build a high-rise. That's the bigger theme. The advantages that we have is our strong distribution network, the brand equity that we have, the quality of the product that we deliver, the logistics network that we have. It goes hand in hand. There's no extra effort that we will require to scale up.
Right.
Hello?
So the only thought which I had just as because the customer still comes to the to the store to buy UltraTech cement, and some of these products are like additive, which even if it's third party, still kind of serves the purpose of making it more comfortable for the customer, was my initial thought at least. But fine, I get the point that you're saying. So secondly, on pricing, can you just share how the exit prices were versus average for the quarter?
I'm sorry, what?
Exit prices. What the December exit prices were versus the average for the December quarter?
December. Just 1 second. Prices corrected, so December would have exited lower only, or almost flat. I am looking at the data. September and December end was flat. Average, to be exact, 348 rupees a bag versus 350 rupees a bag.
348 is the exit and 350 is the average for the quarter. Did I hear that right?
Oh, 348 was exit September, 350 was exit December.
And so what is the average for December, if you can share, please, if it's possible?
350.
Okay.
I don't have average for the month.
Got it. So lastly, on utilization, can you just indicate how low did November drop for us? So you gave the quarter and December month number. How low did November drop for us?
So 70%, if I remember it right. Yeah. It had gone below 70%.
Okay, got it, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take the last question from the line of Prateek Kumar from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, good evening, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. First question is, can you highlight a bit on rural demand trends? So, peer sector, which is FMCG, you've heard industry talking about some kind of slowdown there, which may be due to high base or some kind of transient slowdown. But how do we see that for cement? And is it something which is contributing to negative growth for the quarter?
Could be, because the rural markets, largely of the eastern corridor, suffered because of rains and sand shortage and labor movement. I think things are coming back on track when the labor supply settles and availability has settled. December we are seeing good traction. December and January we are seeing good traction across all segments. The most important thing, I don't want to be sadistic, but the benefit of COVID has been revival of urban housing demand. So, everybody knows the pillars of cement consumption, which is urban and rural housing, infrastructure, industrial and commercial. All along, infrastructure and rural housing were supporting the growth. Now urban housing has also started growing. So this is what I would want to conclude with, that 3 of the 4 levers have started firing very well for cement.
Sure. Okay. So, I mean, this rural, this rains and sand shortage would be something which will not impact probably FMCG. Which will probably impact only.
As I see now, December and January continuing, the capacity utilization is good across the country.
Sure, sir. That was the only question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question. On behalf of UltraTech Cement,